I've spent last week playing the new solo leveling game every day, and even though there are a lot of things I like about this game, I couldn't help but feeling like the whole thing was a big waste of time. Now, I was late to the party. I discovered solo leveling was out on PC about a week after its initial release, but I still gave you guys my first impressions, and as promised, I have stuck with the game for a while, but to be honest, it wasn't long before I decided to fully abandon it. I realized that might come as a disappointment to a lot of you. I saw some hope in the comments that after a while, I would find exactly what I was looking for, but then again, if you've been around this channel for a while, you probably saw this coming. As far as I could tell you, this is a good one of those games. The problem is, it's one of those games. And I honestly feel like I've played this exact game many times before. I'll explain exactly what made me drop it, but I'll try not to be too negative because there are actually a lot of things that I like about this game. So let's start there. Let's be positive. Let's celebrate video games. First, I have to highlight the overall look of this game. I love the character models, the attack animations. The game is so flashy and attacks are so satisfying to land. It's what drew a lot of people to this game in the first place, and I guess I'm no exception here. I also love the look of its cutscenes during story mode. Whenever something a bit more action heavy happens, it goes full cinematic, and then it blends the action cutscenes with manga panels better than any game I've seen do this before. Oh, sorry, it's Korean. It's not manga. It's manhwa. It's manhwa. 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 Look at this transition, how it goes from the game into the original work. It's flawless. And they animated a lot of these manhwa panels, which make them stand out even more. Honestly, it's a really great way to retell the story. This is what drove me through. This is what I wanted to see more of, and the main reason why I kept playing this game for a while. Also, after you beat a main mission, more side missions appear, and a really cool thing about this is that you can sometimes get the perspective of the villains. Like, if the villains are playable characters, very often on the side chapter, you will play as if they were the protagonist, and I like that a lot. Speaking of playable characters, I like that each character has a somewhat unique moveset. I think they could have definitely gone further here, but this is a downside of it being a mobile game. It's designed for people with less than half of a brain, so if you just press all of your abilities as soon as the cooldown ends, things usually work out just fine, and more often than not, that's actually the optimal way of playing. But from the characters I played, I wish they could be a little bit more unique. That's not to say there aren't unique characters. I kinda don't know, because the game gave me the same SSR character 3 times in a row, and that's okay. I mean, thanks to that, every time this character lands an ultimate, one of his skills turns into a big meteor, and it's such a powerful nuke that I just love using it. It's a really good power fantasy. But if I didn't read about that skill, I would probably just press the abilities on cooldown anyway, and it would have still happened. So that's what I mean. Cool gimmicks, but could have definitely gone further. Gone beyond just pressing abilities on a cooldown. Enemy design is also cool. There's a good number of enemies and boss fights with unique mechanics. Once things become a bit more challenging, you actually have to pay attention. And there's a good number of enemies, so the variety is also good. I think there's a very talented team behind this game that has developed some fun gameplay challenges. And then the business ruined the whole thing. And as a gacha mechanic, the gates are actually genius. They work as these random dungeons that pop out and you can choose which one to tackle. And after you clear the dungeon, you send a crew to mine it and you can collect its resources after a timer ends. Now, I'm not a big fan of these timer mechanics. It's gacha games manipulating you, trying to make sure that the game becomes a part of your daily life. This is one of the many ways they manipulate you into logging in every few minutes or every few hours. But I have to admit, it's a clever way of doing it because it makes a lot of sense in universe. And I think I'm done. I think I've run out of good things, but those were a lot of good things, right? Now, what exactly happened? What made me quit the game? Long story short, Chapter 6 happened. That's what made me quit. Main story, Chapter 6. Now, story mode was the main reason why I was playing this game, as many of you realized. I said so during my first impressions because I have zero interest in pulling for new characters. I don't care about increased rates. I don't care about free gems or events that boost my coins. I really don't care about the gacha side of this. And it's not about the monetization. I just kind of don't care about the progression either, because it's typical gacha progression, meaning that there's too much of it. Your character levels up, which is cool because it references the original show with the stats that the protagonist himself levels up during the show. But then your weapon also has to be leveled up, and he has 2 weapons, so double that. Then you have skills, which also have to be leveled up. Then you have companions, which you should also level up at least 3 of them, because that's how many you can take on a mission. Then you have artifacts, which are these gear slots. There are 4 pieces in total, and that's for each character, so that's at least 16 artifacts that you should be leveling up. And every time you level up an artifact, by the way, there's a chance that the upgrade just fails. All of this takes different resources, and it's designed like this so no normal human being can keep track of it all. This is a fact. This has been studied time and time again. This is why these games do it like this. They have all of these different currencies and different resources, so players lose track of what everything means and just focus on the grind, not the materials. And I didn't want any of that. I just wanted to play a cool solo leveling story mode. And you might say, well, it's the kind of game this is. Why'd you even play it? Because you keep asking. I know I don't like this stuff, but there's usually a cool story mode that I can latch myself onto. There's usually stuff in these games that I do appreciate that I wish console games were also doing, but I also think pretty graphics often lead the community astray. I think too often people see pretty graphics and say, oh, that's a good game. And the gameplay just isn't there to support it, and I don't think this game is an exception. I just wanted to play a cool solo leveling story mode, and as I progressed, the game unlocked a few more game modes, and my opinion didn't change because not a single game mode that I unlocked was fun. It was all too grindy for me. It wasn't offering new challenges or new content, it was just more of the same. And granted, there are still more game modes to unlock, but if so far I haven't liked any of them, do I really want to grind more to unlock more game modes that I potentially won't like? Yeah, if this game gets good after 20 hours of playtime, I kinda don't care. So at this point, story mode was the only thing keeping me going, and that was until I reached chapter 6. This is the chapter where the party goes into a dungeon with a B rank hunter that likes to murder everyone. It's episode 9 of the anime, I believe. Now, everyone remembers what happens in the dungeon, right? It's a big turning point for the protagonist. But do you remember what types of enemies did the dungeon have? Most people will answer no, because the focus in the story wasn't on the enemies of the dungeon, it was on the B rank hunter. But I will never forget that this was a goblin dungeon, because the game made me play through 6 different missions that looked exactly the same, killing goblin after goblin after goblin for absolutely no reason. This chapter had so much padding, so much filler, that all of a sudden I wasn't enjoying story mode anymore. Now, I didn't stop on chapter 6, I'm currently on chapter 8. I needed to see if chapter 6 was an exception, but I'm sad to report that no. I guess this is what story mode is now. You could say that that's hours of content. This game is so content rich, but it really isn't. Can you really tell the difference between these two missions? This isn't more content, this is recycled content. It's making you play the same stuff, and this is why I don't think this game respects my time at all. You're killing the same enemies in the same stage, and I wish it was only these 2 missions, but it does this 6 times in a row. If this was side mission content, I would get it. But the thing is, the side mission content is also this. So you've just been through a grindy main mission, and then it asks you to do it again for the side missions. The amount of recycling done to this story mode is beyond reasonable, and since this was the one game mode that kept me motivated, this was the moment that it all came crumbling down. Suddenly, I'm not having fun with the one game mode that kept me going, and that means that unfortunately, I won't get to see many of the boss fights this game has to offer, because I quit. And I actually tried at some point to just power through the main story. I mean, the main missions have enough filler, it's not like I want to do the side chapters or the gacha game modes with the gates and everything else that unlocked in the meantime, but you can't even do that. A lot of these main missions actually have a level requirement, which means you have to play the filler. You have to engage with these gacha activities. And so I kind of gained a routine playing this game where I would log in, I would spend close to 1 hour using every key on gates and the other game modes that have a limited time use, because every different game mode has this limited number of keys that you gotta spend. Once you spend them, they work like a stamina system. You come back tomorrow and you can do it again. And this was the best way to level up your character. So I'd spend an hour doing that and claiming all my free rewards, all my free stuff, be it dailies or battle pass or whatever event is going on. And then I would spend another 1 to 2 hours clearing a single story chapter plus side missions. And that's about 3 hours a day of doing something that mostly felt like a grind. So instead of doing that, one day I decided I'm gonna play Animal Well instead, because that's a very good video game. And then the next day I went, I'm gonna lab Dragon Ball FighterZ instead of playing more solo leveling. And guess what? That was a lot more fun, even though that's a 6-year-old game. Because the truth is, even though this game just came out, it might even be older than 6 years. I feel like I have played this exact same game many times before. My Hero Academia's Strongest Hero, One Piece Fighting Path, even Bleach Brave Souls with a different camera angle doesn't play too differently from this. This is the whole reason why I didn't cover One Punch Man World. I was so sick of playing the same game that everyone keeps making with a different anime skin. I'm not convinced that One Piece Ambition is any different. They just moved the camera again. The skeleton behind these anime action mobile games Feels like it's the same thing, they just put a different skin on top. So as usual, in a Globku versus mobile games video, I have failed to not get triggered. But I want to end on a positive note, and this game did do something for me, which is to make me start reading Solo Leveling. I liked season 1 of the anime, but I had no idea the art on the manhwa was this good. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it in game, so yeah, I'm reading that now. Which means that as a marketing tool, this game did its job, and that's very often what anime games are. They are marketing for the original IP, and this made me a fan of the original work, even if I already liked the animated version. But that's gonna do it for another episode of Globku versus mobile games. Goodbye Solo Leveling, see you never again. I gotta stop falling for this over and over. It's such a waste of time. Oh, the comment section usually gets pretty toxic for these videos, so if you don't have the energy, just don't scroll down. I'm just gonna give a general reply right now. If you like this game, I don't care. I didn't like it, it's my opinion, and that's why people subscribe. That said, if you want more anime games, you're already in the right place. Check out this video right here. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.